How are we there, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. I'm your host, Josh, joined once again, as always, by Ben. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. It's been a very cold and interesting week. How's your week been?
Yes, it's been all right. It's been difficult to watch. Obviously, another final series without the Jets in it. It's it's pretty sad, but obviously the footy's been good. Obviously, MacArthur bowing out over the weekend, and who else was there? Bloody
2 goals in 2 minutes is a mean effort.
Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it? Obviously, real quick fire finishes, and obviously MacArthur out, and obviously another Sydney City grand final. So typical over the last 2 years. Two of the dominant sides, obviously finishing on top as always. So, but welcome chat, welcome everybody. Tonight's show, obviously we're joined by Shane Mattiske to talk obviously Newcastle Jets, obviously the season that was. We can obviously put it to bed. It was definitely up and down and everything in the middle, but obviously we'll move on to next season. Obviously fresh coach obviously due to come in over the next week or so, and obviously there's a big clean out on players and everything else, which obviously means some new players coming in, and we'll have a quick chat to him obviously about the season that was and obviously what the fans and stuff can expect for next season going forward. So Shane, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. This is my little first time. We've talked about this earlier in the year, so it's nice to finally get ourselves hooked up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we tried to set up a little bit earlier and stuff like that, but obviously COVID and everything else. I'm sure you've been a very, very busy man, obviously, over the last 6 months. So, yep. and from a fan's point of view, obviously, we definitely have seen some changes. I think Ben and I would definitely say the media perspective was massive change. Obviously,
we have a media.
We have a media, yeah, exactly. How good is it to have a media outlet? Obviously, Nate
does a cracking job.
He's doing a good job, obviously, in that department.
We want to do more in that space. I think the broadcast deal that will come through with Channel 10 is going to be really helpful for us in terms of being able to be there on the big screen and have really good quality coverage of games available to everyone, to 100% of the population. And I think the Paramount Plus deal that will sit on top of that in terms of week in, week out coverage of every game will also be great for A-League fans and for Jets fans. So that's going to be a really affordable way for fans to get all their content. But I think what's important for us is to be able to communicate and engage. So it's fine to be sitting back watching games, but it's great to be able to have a proper engagement, a proper conversation with our fan base, and to use those opportunities to talk about not just what's happened on the field, but who our players are and what's happening with expose some of the personalities in our club. Like you've probably seen the video on Brent, or the little videos we put on Archie and Lucas together. So all that sort of content is great, and we'd love to just keep on building a social media audience, and that's great. Really good for us. Great, really valuable in terms of direct feedback, and it's a nice way to get deeply involved with the club.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right now, I'll be spending my $9 a month for Paramount Plus.
Well, if you don't, you're not watching the A-League.
You've got to get all your A-League and W-League games, and Socceroos and Matildas now that they've done a deal with Football Australia. Plus, you can watch your favourite CSI episode or whatever else they've got. So it's obviously a much broader offering, but football will be the number one sport on that platform, which is great for us.
Football followed for me very closely by NCIS.
Absolutely. I will just state, guys, before we get into obviously the questions, if you guys have any questions you want to whack in there, feel free to whack them in. We will get to them obviously if there's time and stuff like that, and obviously if they're sort of relevant. We don't want to be delving into stuff that we don't really need to at this point in time. And obviously, Shane, we thank you for obviously coming on. And obviously, we understand that obviously a few of the questions you might have to sort of tiptoe around and, give us sort of what you possibly can without sort of going into too much detail. So, but yeah, no, we do thank you for your time, mate.
No problems. I'll say what I can, but I'm happy to take questions as they come through.
Absolutely. Well, we may as well get into the big one. Again, you've stated that it should be definitely done by hopefully next week in regards to the coach. I'm not expecting you to come out and say who it is and stuff like that. Pappas has obviously been very much linked with the job. But has there been any other interest? Have we is there been other coaches in line, or are we sort of really, maybe one or two, and that's pretty much it?
Yeah, look, I think it's important for us to build success, right? So to do that, you've got to look broadly at who's available, and we've done that, and we've thought also about who is the right person, the right style of coach for our club. So, we know that we want to bring through local talent. We want to develop youth. We're not a club that's going to be out just doing nothing but spending to buy the top players across Australia and around the world, right? We're not that club. We're a club, I think, that's got to have a strong local interest. We're a club that's got to be competitive, fiercely competitive on the pitch. We've got to play positive football. And ultimately, we've got to make our town and our region proud. And that's been a focus, and we want to stick to that philosophy. So not just in terms of recruiting the head coach, but the people that sit around that coach, the people that sit inside our academy as coaches, coaching talent, and hopefully we build a whole system where we've got talent coming through that system that represents all those things I just described, and we've got coaching structures that that continue to foster and guide that talent. So we'll come out with next week a very short-term answer in terms of the head coach appointment, but we're building a longer-term view so that we can continue to breed that right sort of player and that right sort of competitive focus across the pitch.
Obviously, you said short-term there, like coach-wise. Are we looking for a long-term coach, or are we just sort of at what we can at the moment? So if it's a 1 year deal.
No, it's not. I mean short-term in terms of there'll be an announcement for a coach next week.
Yeah.
So that's the very current short-term decision. But as we move forward, we don't want to be a team that turns left 1 week and turns right the next week. We want to have a clear direction, and we want to build everything around that direction. And
correct.
The head coach will be an important part of that. But ultimately, the club has to have a football philosophy, and we have to use that as our guide moving forward. So all our decisions need to align with that football philosophy.
Absolutely. Ben, obviously we've got plenty of questions in there, so I'll let you skip them.
Yeah, I've got a lot that are in regards to that sort of thing, which would basically be answered very swiftly, but I will ask them anyway. And that is the first one I'll go with is, with the salary cap being bolstered next year to 2.5 million, will the new head coach have the option from the club to sign international players that would fit into that ethos?
Yeah, so salary cap still, to my understanding, unless something's broken today, we're still working through what the salary cap is, but the guidance that we're hearing is it's likely to be 2.5, and we're very much focused on spending that 2.5. So we'll be, across our football system, we'll be looking at getting the best value we can for that money. And that means that we'll be looking in our own backyard, we'll be looking across the Australian and New Zealand competition, but we'll also look internationally to get the right sort of player, right? So we're not going to go out and spend crazy money and take a big risk, but we will, and this is something that will be driven out of our football department, but we'll be applying real rigour to the analysis of the players that we do look to, and we want value, but we want performance ultimately as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. No more Mario Jardells.
Oh, wow. Can't go a season without bringing him up, I tell you. Yeah, well, that's obviously one thing that we haven't really had. We have, but obviously not. We haven't had that real standout. We haven't had a
marquee,
massive marquee sort of signing and so forth, which is obviously something that we'd love to see. Obviously in Newcastle, whether that's Australian, international, or obviously abroad. But yeah, so no, that's good. Obviously, if we've got the money there, I couldn't imagine why we wouldn't spend it, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think what's important is that we build I think critically, and this is something that sits on my shoulders and on the board's shoulders, but we have to build a sustainable model. So you look at those big risks that get taken over a big marquee sometimes, and you get a kick in performance and interest in one year, and then it falls away the next year. And we've got, I think that's why it is important that we look carefully at who we bring in, and we make really good decisions, and we make them in a sustainable way, so that we know we're not going out dropping a huge sum of money and hoping. We're much more educated, and we've done the work to make sure that the decisions we make are going to be sustainable and support the club in the longer term.
And I suppose leading into that as well, now that we have somewhat of a competent media department at the club, it sort of echoes in the way of how Western United sort of announced and in the first season ran their media campaign a lot around Alessandro Diamanti. And like that same sort of style of, a not necessarily a well-known player to the masses, but one that can be marketed in a media perspective way to sort of draw in that attention and that interest.
Yeah, look, I think if I'm following the question, like we've got to have a balance. We've got some great, I think the last few games for us prove that we've got some really exciting youth coming through, and that's a great asset for us. And I don't want to put too much pressure on individuals that sit inside the club, but if we can bring through young players that represent this region and are performing at the level that we saw Archie and Lucas perform at, and Angus Thurgate, for instance, in those last few games, then we've got a great platform to work from. I think there's nothing more exciting than seeing young local talent that are starring and really succeeding. So that's extraordinary, and that's something that will carry us forward in that's a longer term benefit to us. And then we need a mix, but I'm also careful that we don't get ourselves caught in being a one-dimensional club where you've got some star player that is everything hangs off, and if that player leaves, then you go backwards massively. So we need to build talent across the board, but we also, when you think about engagement into the club, we need a really strong membership base. We need to be a club that's built a strong foundation through community support and connection to families. And ultimately, we need the community to come around us and support us. And if we can do that, there will be local heroes in the team, and there will be exciting, talented players that come in from outside, and all of that will make a really healthy, vibrant, and successful club.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of players and stuff like that, obviously there's been a few. Obviously, we got the list a week or so ago in regards to obviously players that have left and so forth. Obviously, Topper Stanley wasn't on that list. Obviously, he's out of contract. Donachie obviously is. I can't remember if he's out of contract or not. I think he's still contracted, but obviously we haven't seen the likes of him. Obviously from India, and now obviously we don't know where. Us as fans, I don't know where he is, whether he's back in the country yet or stuff like that. Can we suspect that obviously the coach coming in, maybe it's his sort of decision, obviously, whether he wants to keep them on before these guys made that decision?
Yeah, look, of course, it's the head coach is, he ultimately carries ultimate responsibility on team performance. So the head coach is going to have a very big influence on some of those bigger decisions, and if we can get to that point where we announce our head coach for next week, then pretty quickly after that, we would have to be in a position to confirm some of those decisions that you're talking about. And we think, we're hoping that, and I know because I can see some of the names that we already know are coming through, we will have some really exciting names to announce. But I think the fans will look to and see, they echo what I've just been talking about, building a really balanced, successful, competitive squad, and a squad that we can carry some real hope into the next season with. So, if we're successful in bringing together the names that we're hoping to, we will really be setting ourselves up to not be fighting for fighting out the bottom four like we did, unfortunately, this year with the kind of broken, disjointed season we had, but fighting out that top end of the competition, and very much hoping to be playing at this end of the competition.
Absolutely.
I mean, the plus side on that for us is that we get another game down here in Melbourne relatively soon.
think. Yeah, absolutely.
The FFA Cup playoff.
Yeah.
Cross fingers, it's not behind closed doors.
Oh, for God's sake! Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we're very pleased. We're very pleased it was in Melbourne and not in Perth, right? So
Yeah.
to finish the way we finished, and yeah, that'll be nice. So that just looks like that'll be 7th or 8th of August, that game, and then we roll pretty quickly into the balanced FA Cup. So that's exciting and good. Look, I think we've got to be careful not to put too much expectation on a squad that will be coming together new. But our guys will be back at training on the 12th of July, so they're coming back. They're not spending too much time with their feet up. They're back and they're hungry, and we will have a new football structure that will be sitting around them. So, I think I'm really excited about just seeing how the team comes together in the match.
Absolutely. As fans, obviously, that's pretty much what we want, and obviously, new players would be good. Obviously, I think, as you said, I think we need some new structure in there and some new players, obviously, and local talent. As you mentioned, obviously, Goodwin and Lucas, obviously, 2 young, brilliant talents that have come through, and they're the sort of blokes that we want to sort of build, a club around. These local, one, they're local, and obviously 2, they're almost out of school / in school still, so there's so many years ahead of them as a professional athlete. So we'll move off
Archie's still got another year of school to go.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable.
It's scary. The last time I remember something like that, it would have been a 17 or 18-year-old Jason Hoffman coming off the bench to play as a striker.
I was thinking Ben Kanarowski.
That was a long time ago. Or even Kanarowski, yeah.
Kanarowski, yeah, still in school and stuff like that. We'll move off, obviously, the players and the coaches and stuff like that. And again, fans, obviously, just wait and see. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, the coach will be announced, and then the players to come after that. And obviously, the season won't be too far away from there either. But Ben, you want to jump into another question, mate?
All right, we'll move on to some more of a membership sort of thing, and it was mentioned in your members' mail earlier today that the Jets are relaunching memberships next month. It's no secret that, generally speaking, Jets memberships are one of the cheapest in the A-League. Will you be looking to alter the membership structure in any way? And what is the likelihood that membership prices may be increased?
Look, they haven't. So, we've come out of a year where we held membership prices at a level without increasing them, and of course it was a difficult year for any member, and that's one of the important things is if you're a member through us, if you stayed with us for this year, you are one of the most loyal, valued members there can be, because it was a tough year. We appreciate people making financial commitments, not knowing when games were going to happen. So we thank everyone that made that financial commitment, committed to being part of the club, and then importantly came along and supported our team, whether it was A-League or W-League. So that was greatly appreciated. So when we look forward, we haven't changed membership prices significantly. There's some slight increases, but they're not. There's not massive increases. I think we still are very confident we represent very good value. One of the things that we will do, and I think is important, and we're committed to, is we will. Last season we didn't have any membership product like a cap or keyring or anything like that included in memberships, and that will be something that we commit to doing, and we'll commit to sending that to you. So if you're a member, it's wonderful for us for you to commit to being part of the team and part of the club, but we'll commit to delivering something to you to allow you to show your support. So all that will come to you as part of the membership. And that's something that we've actually packaged inside the price. So when you see some slight increases, just keep in the back of your mind that will include that membership pack. And for our gold members, which is the top level so we'll keep the same naming for the memberships. So for gold members, they'll get a very nice pack, which represents their position inside the club, and that inclusion of items will go all the way right down to our cheapest. Our cheapest membership will give you the option to opt out if you just simply, if it's a student or whatever it may be, and just purely wants the cheapest option to be able to get to a game. We'll make provision for that. The other thing that I think will be exciting for some people is there will be a special offer to join Paramount Plus as part of the membership. So The APL is working through discussions with Paramount and 10, and we know that we'll be able to, if you're a member, we'll be able to make you a special offer that gives you cheaper access. So Ben, you don't even have to spend your $9 a month. We'll be able to deliver it to you even cheaper if you're a member of the club. So I think that's all exciting, and we'll continue. I think this year we've done a lot more, I think, than what we've done in the past in terms of engagement with the member base, and we're really committed to doing that moving forward. So we did an awesome little event last month with a group of members that won a prize, and we introduced them to some of the players and the team, and that was great. But that was one little event. We'd like to do more of that. And in a COVID environment, I think we can do that, and we can also do more of this sort of thing as well, where we're talking to the fans more broadly, but open up access to our members so that we can have kind of a virtual one-on-one perhaps, and use the technology that we all now have access to.
So, to be brutally honest as well, when it comes to the membership, it is a slight increase, but at the same point, it's not really an increase, because I think that originally the first memberships that came out last year went down in price because they weren't supplying membership stuff. You had to buy that separately. So it's basically a level playing field again. I think it's the only year that I've been a member of the Jets and I've managed to receive 2 completely separate membership packs with stuff in it, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Look, I think it'll be good value, as I can tell you that. Looking at
I'm running out of wall space for scarves.
Yeah. Well, I can't reveal what's in the packs yet. I've kind of probably hinted a little bit, but that's actually all still being. We're just getting the final designs and all that worked out at the moment. But as I said, we're making a significant investment ahead of time, and we're making that investment on the basis that we have faith that membership's going to grow significantly. So we're down at, we know that the club should have a membership of 10 to 11,000 people. That's where the club's been. We're not sitting here saying, wouldn't it be great to get to that number? We know that the club's had that level of support, and it's only 18 months ago really that we're at that number. So this year we got to 5,300, I think is roughly where we are. But we know there's 5,000 people out there that have supported the team, and we hope they'll come back and reconnect again in a clear year without COVID disruption. And there'll be a whole lot of other changes within the club that we hope will bring new people to the club, and we'll reveal those as we go, move forward over the next month or so. But some of them I think are pretty exciting. So we're confident about attracting new people to membership that haven't previously committed to membership.
Josh, you got one there that's sort of along the lines of member events.
Yeah, in regards to obviously like out of towners like Ben and myself, obviously being Victorian, or I'm a Nova Cashian, but obviously living down in Victoria. I know there's a few guys in the group, obviously in Sydney, Blue Mountains, Adelaide, all around Australia, obviously members. Is there any chance we can probably see something for those sort of members, obviously who still pay their membership, can't realistically get to games all that often, unless obviously they live in Melbourne and where an A-League club's based? Is there something like that possibly in the future?
Well, there is an out-of-town membership product. Yeah. We're open to what else we can do, right? So cool. We're always happy if we're on the road and members are in town, whether it's Adelaide or Melbourne or wherever. Yeah, we're happy to see members, and this year, people will be identifiable as a member of this coming year. You'll be identifiable as a member of the club. There's no question with all the material that we'll send out, but we're open to what else we can do, right? So if it's as I said, if we're doing, we want to be interactive, we want to be accessible. You've seen that through what we're doing in social media already. So we'll look to more ways to do that. The kind of Ask the Boss initiative that we did across, pretty much, a lot of key people in the office. That's something we're really happy to continue to do, and there'll be some new boss. There'll be at least one new boss in a week or so's time as well. So that's a good example of the sort of thing we can do.
Absolutely.
Oh, trust me, if you ever do travel down to a Melbourne game, trust me and Josh stand out in the crowd. You won't miss us. The amount of scarves we have hanging off. I've got about 3 scarves generally hanging off my belt.
Yeah. You don't miss us down here, especially when Matt Vandenberg's around.
Oh,
seems to attract just weird people.
We'll look forward to that. Yeah.
Obviously, what's Lucas has whacked in here? Pub crawl, Jets bus from Blue Mountains to McDonald Jones. Absolutely, there you go.
Yes.
Jesus, there's a lot of pubs between there and McDonald Jones. How you get let in? Obviously, a little cheeky one here, mate. Will we ever see you in the away bay with the supporters at an F3 derby with a beer in hand? It seems to be a custom for the chair and CEOs alike of the Jets to jump in there with the fans.
Yeah, well, you never say never. I've been in active support. Laurie and myself have been down a couple of times when we've had good showing from active support at McDonald Jones, and well, I definitely enjoyed being there at the F3 derby on Tuesday. What was that? 2 weeks ago now. That was a great event. So I'd be very happy to be back, and I was really pleased. There was still, despite what it wasn't a huge showing, but it was great to see some Jets fans there, and would be happy, particularly if we continue to perform like that and continue to have our young blokes playing like that. Be very happy to be down there.
No, absolutely.
I think the highlight was the 8th goal when Laurie threw an entire 4-pack of beer up into the air.
Yeah, that's a good one. Classic. Dylan Smith's in the chat. He's just put in here, is social media going to play a big part in driving memberships? How does the club intend on reaching the community to become a member?
So social media, I think, look, we're using social media as much as we possibly can across the club, and it will play a big part in membership, and you'll start to see, I'm hinting towards some significant changes coming in terms of a whole range of different things. So I would keep an eye on social media channels, and we'll certainly be talking about what's happening with membership.
Yep.
And that's, I think social media is one of the key ways to reach that community, but we'll be using all the different options we've got. So we're going to be more active moving forward in terms of having our players at local football clubs, schools, other community events. We'll be in old school media like the papers and TV, etc., talking about membership, etc. So we'll be out there, and membership's so important to us. So we have to be. So we really, we'll do everything we can, and we actually are going to be relying on our members, our core members, to actually try and build this membership culture in the club and get ourselves back to that 10 to 11,000 number, which, as I said, that's where we should be. There's no reason why we shouldn't be there. It's just going to take some energy from us, and it's going to take some energy from all our fans and members to try and build that momentum. And if we can get to that point, it's going to make for an amazing atmosphere at McDonald Jones and at our away games, and it's going to also support what we know will be a really competitive team. So they're going to be looking up into the crowd, and if we're at 10 or 11,000 members, we're going to have an unreal atmosphere. So it's something we've got to strive for.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I think it was the start of the grand final loss, obviously, against Victory a couple of years ago. I remember Laurie and all the players and stuff like that were just, they were around, what was it, bloody Westfield, Katara, just walking, obviously, through the shopping centre and that, just, shaking hands, obviously, doing the photos and everything else, but obviously memberships as well. Obviously, they were driving memberships and stuff like that as well, which obviously, it was a very good season, which no one knew about at the time they were walking through the shopping centre, but obviously the membership numbers were driven, they were high that year. So obviously, as you said, the basic media stuff, just getting out into the community, obviously it works. So hopefully we see a bit more of it.
Well, one thing I'll say is we're a community club, right? If we're going to be successful, we have to be a community club, and we can't be. The clubs in Melbourne or Sydney, they can be elite, they can be disconnected from their communities, but Newcastle, the Hunter, the Northern New South Wales region, it's an area where these are community. That's got to be our foundation, and what's important to us moving forward is to reconnect and have that strength and support from our community.
Absolutely. Dill's got one in here, which is actually a pretty good one. He's got, what's the plans with the active support? Does the club intend on growing this and engaging with the active bay? I'll say before you answer that, as obviously an original squadron member and so forth, and being heavily, part of the active supports over the existence of the club before moving down here, it's definitely dropped in the last couple of seasons. There's no question about it. But the guys that are there every week, your Dylan Watkins, your Matty Vandenbergs, your blokes like that, die-hard fans, obviously, it's amazing that they still try and do what they do, and we obviously, something needs to be done, in my opinion, obviously, to resurrect it back to where it was, because it hasn't been crash hot, honestly. Let's put it that way over the last couple of seasons. But any plans with that, mate?
Oh, look, this is a really this is an interesting question, right? Because I would love to see more active support.
Yeah.
We just simply, the reality is we haven't had a strong active support this year at all. There was a couple of games where we had a reasonable sort of turnout, but I went to that F3 Derby game, for instance, at Central Coast, and the support that the Mariners were getting was awesome, and we've got to do that. So we're going to think more about how we do encourage active support, and this is something I'm talking about carefully, because it can't be. I can't drive that. It's got to be driven from our fans. It's got to be driven by you guys.
Yeah.
We'll support it if people come to me or to the club more broadly and want some help with something. We'll do what we can. To encourage active support, but ultimately it's a question back to the guys that you've got writing in. We do have to build a strong active support club. We've got to build strong support more broadly, but we need atmosphere, and we need the sort of support that the Mariners had at that F3 Derby game. So that's something that has to be a focus.
Which is quite interesting, let's be honest, considering from a Jets fan, obviously, over the last decade, the Mariners fans have been non-existent. You go down to the F3 Derby, the 8-2...
We take more down through the tunnel than what they used to bring.
Yeah, their home game, you know what I mean? But again, they weren't being successful and everything else. They had a terrible last few years and so forth. And of course, that plays a major part. Obviously, our performance this year wasn't crash hot, and we all know that obviously, it is what it is. When the team's not performing, obviously the fans don't show. It shouldn't be like. It definitely shouldn't be that way, but it is the way it is. Unfortunately, in this league, with any A-League side, it's what happens. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe something like another fan forum. I think we had one of them a couple of years ago as well, which was fantastic. Obviously, got the fans involved and got them to obviously open up and have their say of what they feel they needed and stuff like that. I know security there is a bit tight, a bit very tight on the boys. In some ways, obviously, they may be able to tone that down a little bit. But again, obviously, it needs to be controlled. Obviously. To obviously where it needs to be, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe something like a fan forum and stuff like that. Maybe something to look into as an option to obviously get the fans obviously that have their say at the end of the day. If you want an active support, as you said, it's up to them to pull their finger out and obviously start to get the ball rolling. And then you've heard it here first, fans. Obviously, if you need anything or you want to obviously say something and obviously see if it's possible, just go through the right channels through the club and they'll do what they can to make it happen. Ben, obviously we've got a couple more there before we let him go, a couple of quick ones. Obviously we'll try and wrap it up.
These ones sort of go hand in hand with each other, and that is Viva/Appel have done an outstanding job with our playing kits over the past 3 years. Out of curiosity, do you know when that deal is set to expire? And if so, what's the possibility of retaining them as our kit manufacturer into the future?
Yeah, so that's great feedback, right? I think the kit is excellent, and they've been a great partner. They've got at least one more year to go on their deal, and I think the KB United kit that we put together for the
Magic.
Last home game, and then we'll be using that in FA Cup. Good example of them working with us to do something a little different. So, they're great partners. We'll be working through that. Hopefully, they think we're great partners, and we'll hope that we can continue a partnership with them.
I just think I mean, a lot of the designs that we've had from both Viva and Appel, obviously both being the same company, they've been very unique. They're not something you're going to get from a Puma or a Nike or a Macron or a Kappa. It makes, I think, that our kits are some of the ones that really stand out. And it's not often that I go to a game and hear from opposition supporters going, your kits are always amazing. We always get recycled designs from Europe 2 years late.
Well, hopefully, when the big reveal happens around the kit for this coming season, hopefully everyone's happy, right? But I think it's, it is again, it's sort of on track with what you're saying around.
Oh, you've already made me happy because you've already brought one out that's cinnamon, white, and emerald.
How many years? Like the logo.
We've been on Laurie for that for about 3 years.
Oh, mate. Every time.
It's like, no, they don't sell. He goes, they don't sell. Nobody likes them.
he puts this lovely spiel on why he's not going to bring it back, but
yeah, you know he hates it.
he hates the colours. But that's pretty much what the logo, obviously the Crossbar Capers logo, is all based on. Obviously that old school Newcastle base, and I love it. I love the old school feel. I think it's great that it's come out, and
even the throwback from this year from the original gold and navy. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, that's the one I'm getting first, and it's currently the only one from this season that I do have.
I think it was a new...
Yeah.
Who's that local sponsor? There's a local kit designer there. I think he does a lot of the NSL, NPL sides and stuff like that. I think he's looking at doing one with the actual Breakers sort of logo in it as well. I think that would look mint as well. Maybe something like that in the new season.
All right.
Which will lead me into my next one, which is sort of semi-kit related as well, and that's it also sort of comes back into fan engagement as well, and that's, will you be looking to bring back the RAF round and the special edition kits that go with it? Some of us like to collect those.
Right.
I have every single RAF kit.
Yeah, we didn't get to do one this year with COVID. Sunk our plans, unfortunately. The Jets, have a strong link to the RAF, right? And that's one of the conversations we've been having over the last 5 months, is just how do we deepen that? So we'd like that to be more than just a flyover. But yeah, we certainly want to keep a relationship and develop that relationship with Defence and with the RAF and Williamtown, and that'll be a focus. So I would hope that we can deliver on that, and that. We'll see how we evidence that in terms of kid or whatever, what else we can do around the event.
Absolutely. So, that's pretty much all we've got. Obviously, I've got one last question for you, obviously, in regards to next season. But yeah, just any final questions you want to whack in there, guys. If they're relevant, we'll whack them out to him. But we're going to wrap it up and let him go. But the one I've got is, as executive chair, what are your personal goals for the club for the season ahead?
Yeah, well, personal, they're business goals, right? But it is ultimately, it is about striving for success. So it's about building. You probably listened to some of the things I've already said. We have to strive for success. We've got to do that in a sustainable way. So, we have to build. Like, we have to take small steps towards building a really strong club on the field and off the field, and. So, on the field, I think we're heading in the right path. We would hope we're heading in the right path. We've thought very, very carefully and made some very careful decisions around what we're doing on field. But off the field, success to me is to build that membership culture and get out to 10,000 members. That's a great goal for us. We're striving to build broader sustainability for the club, so bringing on board sponsorship, and that is critical, getting the community behind us, and it's probably likely that those sponsors are sponsors that have got an interest in our region, so doing the hard work to try and bring those sort of people on board, and that more, I've talked about community, but reconnecting the club more into the community, so having a stronger relationship with all the different football clubs around us, with the community more broadly. All those things are going to be really important, and all that leads to not just having a successful year, but actually, building a long-term view of, a long-term path to success. So we're not just having a good year and then a poor one, or having 2 good years then collapsing in a third. We want to build sustainability and make sure that this club is not this club has real stability. It's got real strength. It's a club that will continue to to build its position and build trust with the people around us, and be a club that everyone's proud of in our communities moving forward. And that's that has to be a long-term focus, and it will come with a number of small decisions. But as long as they're all going in the right direction, we're doing our job.
Absolutely.
I think there was a question from the chat earlier on in regards to what you've just mentioned, and that's in the realms of sponsorship. Look, it's no secret that the Jets have found it hard over the past 4 to 5 years to find sponsorship, mainly a front of shirt sponsor for the home kit. Inspiration Paint have been an amazing supporter over the past few years. Joel and his crew. In what they do for the club as well. Me and Josh, it's always a running joke that we've got. It's who are we going to get on the front of the kit this year, and is it going to be blank? But Dylan came up very interesting, going, how are we looking for sponsors, particularly front of shirt sponsors?
Yeah, well, it's around the time that we've got to lock those sort of partnerships away, and there's some good conversations we're having. So, we're not at a point yet where we'll be announcing a front of jersey, but that doesn't mean that we're not close. And we have, this is broader than just front of jersey, right? We want support across the board, and we want proper support for our W League team. And it's important, I think, to us that W League gets that corporate support. They, I think, particularly leading into 2023 in the World Cup. Women's football, we've tried to give it the right focus. We've tried to really support W League in the past and certainly this year, but would like to see greater corporate support for W League moving forward. And then across A League, there's a number of different opportunities for anyone who's just simply wants to be someone who holds a corporate box, right all the way through to someone who might want to take a big position on the front of the jersey, or sponsor one of our community programs or whatever it may be. So there's we've got a lot of assets that we're taking to market. We need to build some real value from that, and that's the season finishes, of course, right, and coaching staff go on a holiday, which is what they're doing. They're taking a very well-deserved rest right now, but all the pressure comes on to our sales staff and myself to bring through and lock down those partnerships. And I think the good thing for us is that there is a new story to tell around the club. Right? When we'll start to let or release some of the different things that are happening, but there is a different focus. We've got stability. We're setting ourselves up for growth. And we're looking for people that want to come on board with us on that journey, and we are confident about that path we're on. So we're very much. You can never. It's a difficult environment, right? There is absolutely a difficult environment at sponsorship, but again, same sort of thing. We'll make careful decisions. We'll talk to the right people, and we hope that some of that will drop, and we'll be in a better position financially in the sponsorship space as well.
Yeah, I think I
think it was 2 or 3 years ago that me and Josh were seriously considering even doing a one game shirt sponsorship.
Yeah, something
to help out from just from us personally.
Yeah, at the end of the day, for I've been a member since day dot, and I'll try and do whatever I can, whether it's get the game, as many games as I can, and stuff like that. Obviously, doing this podcast, obviously for the fans and stuff like that. Just obviously have some sort of involvement, especially now that I live in Melbourne and can't get to games every week. But yeah, at the end of the day, hopefully we can get it sorted, and for the future, bigger and brighter. The one question I've got though, mate, which is
sorry, Josh, I was going to say that even just I touched on membership before, but just being a member and grabbing your mates your family, whoever it may be, and encouraging them to be members. All of that helps because it,
my entire house
on the atmosphere and all of that. But when I'm talking to partners, and if I'm a club, if I'm in a position where I'm talking about the fact that the club has 10 or 11,000 members, or maybe in 4 years' time we're talking about 15,000 members, you start to have a very different conversation, because we've got, we're in a really important region in terms of the broader national economy. It's the biggest regional economy in Australia. If we're a sporting team that's got that sort of support, then that's a place where people want to come and associate their brands, right? So for anyone listening, there are little things that you can do. Come to a game, bring your mates, be a member, make sure they're members, encourage membership. All that helps in terms of us. In a small way, all that helps to build a stronger club, to build sponsorship, etc. So there are absolutely things that all of you can do.
100%. There was one question I totally forgot to obviously speak about, and that is you brought it up just before in regards to the W League, the girls and stuff like that. Obviously they've had a rough trot obviously this season, and obviously the last wasn't too fantastic either. No real international signatures coming in and stuff like that. Can we possibly look to see some more internationals, or even Matildas come to the Jets next season to try and build and obviously push hopefully for a finals berth?
Look, we're certain, like this past season's difficult in terms of internationals because of COVID. It's we're actually W League's an interesting coming in fresh into this. The fact that all the W League girls are on 1-year contracts is odd, right? I don't know how many people realise that, but they're on 1-year contracts. Those contracts finish and then you restart again. So we're starting again, right? We're hoping that doesn't mean all our players are going to disappear. They'll be loyal to the club and we'll be loyal to them. But it is an interesting environment, right? So we're starting that process, and we'll be thinking about again whether we can bring talent and strengthen the team and improve our positioning on the table, because we want. We're not, when we talk about being fiercely competitive, it's not just the men's A-League team, right? We're fortunate, right, that we've got really strong support for our women's team. We're a town that's got, the community's very supportive of women's sport, and they do love the Jets W League team. So we want to do what we can, of course within reason. We've got budgets we have to work with, but there is a focus on trying to help the W League team improve their performance, and we hope that we can do that.
Yeah, W League.
It's clear to say that Shane understands our plight. We have the exact same reaction, and that's why both our eyes just lit up when you went. They're on 1-year contracts, and that's weird, and that's one of our biggest pet peeves. Yeah, we feel that they don't get treated like true professionals, only signing 1-year contracts every year and not having a secure future as a professional.
We're not going to get into that one, because that could be
here for the next.
That could be another hour, because the W League. We've been very lucky to have a fair few of the girls jump on the podcast to have a chat and everything else about the W League, and honestly, a lot of our fans have come to us as well and stated how shocked they were. You talk about, obviously, you were saying, they're on 1-year contracts. We've had the girls come on personally and state that it is a 6-month contract. You know what I mean? Like, they get signed a couple of weeks before the season starts. As soon as the grand final date's penciled in, sort of thing, that's the day after that. See you later.
They're gone.
Good luck finding a NPL club or whatever it is, and we'll call you if you're successful in 6 months. Not purely because that's the club's fault. It's just the structure of the league and everything else and the way it is, and personally, it's just something that sort of gets on my nerves, where surely the girls could be on at least a full 12-month contract, and 6 months of that, they go around and they drum up schools and do clinics and do stuff, whether it's within the club themselves or something. It's something's got to give and something's got to change, because at the end of the day, as you said, Claire and stuff like the major ones, lawyers and so forth, going to work every day. 5 a.m. starts for training, off to work, then travelling to Melbourne and interstates and missing work and stuff like that if they're midweek games. And as I said, it's just something that needs to change in a whole. in Australian women's football. But again, we're not going to go into that because that's another.
And we seem to think that maybe the Women's World Cup can be used as a catalyst to sort of push that forward.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a big shift happening at the moment, and
yep.
I touched on earlier that the CBA discussions are certainly not settled yet, but I would hope that this is, I'm not involved directly in that conversation, but I would hope this is a key topic, right? Because I agree with everything you're saying. I'm astounded that is the position that the league has.
Yep.
That's a league-wide position, and we would love to. We want to build a strong culture. We want to bring a strong team, a strong squad. We want to support the girls. So, there's a lot of different elements to that. Of course, I touched on seeing proper value come in to sponsorship for the team, for W League in isolation, aside from A League, and that helps us support the team. We're fortunate that we've got a great stadium in Newcastle, at number 2 sports ground for W League, and would like to build on that and improve in the longer term. It'd be great to get better lights and do some other things at that stadium to make it even greater for the team to play at. So, this is an issue for the W League more broadly, and hopefully this is an issue that we'll see addressed in the next 1 or 2 months as they work through the CBA.
Absolutely, mate.
I'm going to finish off on one light note question. The light note question, and it comes from Elliot Smith in chat, and I'm going to slightly reword it. Is there plans, but where are we putting the Nigel Bogard statue?
Right. Well, I can't promise. We haven't really started our plans around statues yet, but hopefully you guys picked up on, and if you read that member email that went out today, I'm not sure how well that was known, but we have, Nigel's been a great player for the club, and he's been an outstanding captain for the club. He kind of embodies the culture that we want to strive for.
Yep.
And I think all the players recognise that, our coaching staff recognises that, and the club as a whole. So one of the things we did with his retirement announcement is change the Jets Player of the Year award to be named for next year onwards, to be named after Nigel. So I think that's getting pretty bloody close to a statue, and I know everyone was super happy that happened. That was one of the big, one of the really nice things that happened when we sort of farewelled Nigel. So it's good for us, right? Because he will have. I said to him when we announced it that it's it means he has to be at the club,
Yep.
And has to be around. So it's kind of a nice way for us to hold him to the club, and it's a nice way for him to have that ongoing connection to the club as well. So
100%.
Good way to finish. Good question to finish on.
Absolutely, mate. We're going to wrap it up there anyway, guys. We will hopefully get him back on, obviously, sooner rather than later, because I'm sure there's still plenty of questions in here that the chat want to know and stuff like that. But we'll wrap it up and get to them later. We'll answer this one last one here for you, mate, real quick. Lucas just wants to... Lucas just wants to know, mate, is that baseball signed behind you, mate? He just wants to know who signed that baseball.
Oh, well, it's actually... I don't think it is... I'll double check, but I don't think it is. But it is a baseball from the Diamondbacks Dodgers game here at the SCG. So it was. I think it's one of the official balls, and
there you go.
This is a great event, right? So great historic event in this country. So that was my little piece of memorabilia. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Muchly appreciated, mate. We do thank you for jumping on, and hopefully, in the next week or so, we'll, as the fans, we'll have a coach, and we can move forward for next season, and we can only go up. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great journey, and really confident about our path, and I'm excited about the range of different things we'll do. So next week will be great in terms of getting that coaching position locked and announced, but what sits behind that's also going to be really exciting. So follow our social media and get ready. Membership will be out, so look forward to you guys signing up to be members and seeing what we have in store when that's all revealed. And it's going to be a great year for us moving forward. Well, we've got a great foundation now, so we can drive forward off that. And that gives you a lot to hope for.
Absolutely, mate.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, mate.
And we'll talk later, all right?
Righto, mate. Take it easy, buddy. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
See you, mate. There you go, guys. Muchly appreciated. We do thank Shane for jumping on, giving us a bit of his time. I think we did drag over a little bit over 40 minutes, but we'll blame him because we talked about the W League. Like it just infuriates me. But anyway, I do apologise for everyone who did not get their questions answered. Ben's sort of in his own little miss.
And I can't fix it because I'm not signed in TeamViewer.
We'll sign into TeamViewer.
Are you going to give me the password so that everybody else in chat can join on your TeamViewer as well?
Absolutely, guys. It's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Double QP.
Yeah, but they don't have your ID number and I do, so.
Oh, well, then they're up to shit creek. But anyway, guys, we do thank you for jumping on. We do thank you for your questions as well. We do, as we said, we do apologise for the ones who did not get their questions answered. But again, we'll try and get him on sooner rather than later and get that sorted and everything else. But yeah, we'll be here for a little bit if you want to talk other stuff. There's a few questions there that I wanted to get answers to, but how many questions do you want to answer? Liverpool. Yeah, you missed the L, you donkey. Welcome, Noopy.
Noopy, always here for a lurk.
What do we got?
Lad?
Oh shit, what do we got? Missed out. Well done, lads. Any chance of getting the Scottish Terrier himself on Laurie McKenna anytime soon? He's always good fun. Yeah, look, Laurie.
He's always good for a laugh.
Laurie, I'm not gonna beat around the bush and stuff like that with that. I've spoken to Laurie a few times. It's a little bit difficult at the moment. Obviously, everyone knows over the media sense and stuff like that he put a lot of his own money into the club, and because of that, obviously, he's just sort of taken a bit of a back seat and just letting everything settle and let the club and Shane do obviously what he needs to do to set it all up and everything else. And then once it's all done, hopefully before the season starts, we'll get him back on once he finishes talking up the coast. Friggin'. But yeah, Laurie's always fun to jump on. He's very open, very humble, and obviously we thank him for all his time that he comes on. It's always a laugh when Laurie's on the podcast, that is for sure. Very relaxed environment. What else we got here? Yeah, Specs podcast. But yeah, as I said, guys, obviously there's a few questions in there that were definitely answered. Memberships obviously being one. We'll have to see what happens in regards to that.
Yeah.
How expensive or whatever.
Well, like I made mention of, he's the price is going up, but it's really not going up. Oh, yeah. Wait, hang on. We're dropping frames.
Oh.
Okay. We seem to be stable now. Is it good?
I don't think much has changed at my end.
Nah, you've got to look at this section.
Thoughts on Pappas? Let's be real. He has basically been signed. Yeah. Yeah.
This is where we play our card of we only deal in fact.
Yeah.
I know, Matty.
Yeah, you're not even there, Benny. Yeah, he's gone out for a cheeky bum smoke. But yeah, Dill, I don't really know what to think about the signing, honestly. I think that's more of obviously me being a member since day one scenario than obviously just a fan, like a Jets fan or a A-League fan or a Pappas fan or something like that. I'm not sold
as fans it's easy for us as fans to sit here and be critical, but from that interview alone, that's probably the first time that I've actually spoken to Shane in great detail of things. And the way that he words certain things, aside from the fact that he's very careful, but again, he's in that position where he can't exactly divulge that information. We're not going to get that. We're not special.
Yeah.
But it's more of a fact of the board and the executives and the football department seem like that they're working very, very close together in structuring out a very clear path in what they want to do. They're not going to hire somebody that doesn't fit that mantle just because X name is available. So if they're looking at Pappas and they're going with Pappas, obviously he will have been in discussions with the board and probably Shane in regards to this is the plan that we have, this is the direction that we want to move. We feel that you're the sort of coach that will fall in line with the pathway that we're trying to set. If you are, that's great. If you're not, tell us and we'll go look elsewhere.
For me, look, as I said, Dill, what's your thoughts? You know, what's your thoughts on him? Are you happy with the signing? You know, again, if it goes ahead, and so forth. My biggest thing is I don't really want to say too much. I'm not sold on the idea, period. But I'm not sold on the idea entirely. But it may differ depending on what contract. Let's say Pappas signs. Right, we have no idea. It's only speculation at this point. But let's say he signs on. My shift of mood might change depending on the contract. Right? If he signs a 3-year contract, I would expect the club to honour that 3-year contract. Yeah. It's very unlikely, considering the words of the likes of the coaches in the past and so forth, from obviously the Jets, plus any other A-League club.
The league in general.
Exactly, like the league in general. But if he signs a 2-year deal, see, for me, I'm not sold. I need to see 3 years. I need to see a minimum of 3 years on that deal.
You want commitment,
right? If he said, because at the end of the day, if he puts down 2 years, that's what bloody Deansy was, right? Essentially, it was the remainder of this season plus all of next year. It's a 2-year deal, essentially, and he honoured 12 months of that. You know what I mean? Not even. 6 months technically of the contract, but obviously he was coaching before that. So you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's just
it's just A-League contract in general. Whether it be a manager or a player, it's very much the A-League is not strong enough to be in a position to sit there like EPL or other leagues around Europe, where they're in a position where they're able to turn around to a manager or a player and go, no, you're going to honour that 3-year contract, or you're going to honour that 4-year contract. The league's not big enough and it's not strong enough, whereas if there is a twinkling of an offer from overseas somewhere, they're going to jump at it.
I wasn't going to say. Ben's brought it up, right? It's like, didn't want to say it. That's my biggest concern. Right, that is my biggest concern. Pappas is always going to look for the better option. He's always going to look to go overseas. When you've tasted overseas football, coaching-wise, whether it's Plains or coaching, you want to stay there.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that bloody Ange Postecoglou and friggin' the two guys obviously at Greece at the moment coaching the international scene, those guys want to come back to the A-League. It doesn't happen. You know, it's like, bugger that. I'm going up, and I'm only going up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I'm 70 odd or whatever it is, or I'm about to freaking give it away, well then I'll come home. Or if there's a major family issue or something along those lines, then you come home. For me, Pappas doesn't tick those boxes. I feel that everything's fine at home somewhat, and he wants to be a successful coach, and successful coaches want to look elsewhere overseas and stuff like that. And I'm like, in my head, That's where his head lies. That's my thoughts. And so for me, him signing a 2-year deal, he won't see that 2-year deal out. I'll put money on it.
They see it as a stepping stone. Just like the players do.
Yeah. I just expect, obviously, them...
Yeah. And that's because the league is not in a position to hold any sort of bargaining power over them, because we are not a strong enough league. It's as simple as that. We want to be able to entice coaches and players to come over here and stay here. Not entice them to come over here for a working holiday. Or because, there's no better option. Yes, I see that, Luke. Pappas is in Australia for personal reasons. I mentioned this to Josh earlier today. I don't wholeheartedly agree with that. I think there's more to that story than meets the eye. Very much in the case of don't believe everything that you read. But again, that's just my personal view on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The whole, as I said, it's one of those things.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. For me, it's just one of those things. Our past luck with coaches has been fantastic. For me, I don't believe Merrick should have got the arse. Like, that's just me personally. Was his performance lacking? Absolutely. But whose fault's that? A veteran seasoned coach who's friggin' won numerous A-League titles and so forth, or a bunch of A-League players or whatever it is who, majority of them probably had won nothing. Whose fault is that? Like, it's obviously it's stock standard that every friggin' A-League, every coach, obviously, no matter what it is, it's their performance is driven by progress. If they're winning, obviously they keep their job. If they don't win, they get friggin' the arse. It's just normal. But I don't know. It is what it is.
The buck doesn't always, or well, shouldn't always fall on the manager's head. There's more to it that happens. But unfortunately, it's a results-driven game.
Yeah. Well, Sir James, obviously you put in here in a 2-year. If it's 2-year deal, it's 2-year deal. It's better than having Deansy that couldn't cope coaching.
See, I think there's more to meets the eye than that story too.
Yeah, but even then, Sir James, like he signed a 2-year contract essentially, and friggin' didn't see it out. Carl signed a 2-year contract, didn't see it out. Friggin', you know what I mean? Like, it's just what it is. I get that it's coaches, and I get that that's what it is, and it's the A-League, and Rudin, obviously, friggin', he didn't want to get the arse. He didn't want to go. And I feel that was a wrong decision on Western's behalf. But it is what it is. And
again, that story as well, more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And again, we're in a position as general A-League supporters that we may never know.
100%. We'll never, yeah.
We'll never know what happens behind closed doors, and that's why players and managers and head coaches sign contracts to protect them from shit like that.
Absolutely.
But again, I will say it again. We aren't a media outlet, first and foremost. We look at things with a different set of eyes than what the media look at it. And in the general taboo in media as well, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already heard the phrase before, don't believe everything you read.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of crap obviously speculated over the last couple of weeks in regards to Pappas coming in with obviously bringing his own staff in and players and this and that and everything else. It's all rumours, it's all shit. Until it's signed, until the Newcastle Jets page or friggin' the club come out with a statement themselves and friggin' say that it's a done deal. To me, it's a done deal. They could sit there and say the rumours going, we're heavily linked to friggin' Ronaldo or Messi. Like, people will believe that shit. Like, it's, yeah. Like, come on, guys. Let's think about it. Do you have faith?
Prime example is when the serial pest of Newcastle posted on the Newcastle Jets fan page the other day saying that Redemption was coming back.
Oh, mate, didn't that kick up a stink? That was class. That was class. And then I put underneath it, I said, not before Hool friggin' comes back. And then it got deleted. So go work that one out.
Who was telling me the other day, I think it might have been Luke, he's working on job sites now, he's a tradie.
Oh, look out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, what a fall from grace.
Working with his brother, I think. His brother
Is he working on a European job site?
Yeah, probably. Anyway, we are going to wrap it up, guys. We do thank you for jumping on. If you are new to the channel and this is your first time coming across us, be sure to go and subscribe to us on the YouTube side or, pardon me, the Twitch side. Jump on and like the Facebook page. You can also find us on Spotify and Anchor and obviously Apple. Yes, I'm on the money. Happy days. Got it. Boom. I'm very keen to see the plans on growing membership numbers. Shane seems to know what he wants and how to get there. The bloke seems switched on. 100%. Hopefully the memberships drives high and stuff like that. At the end of the day, guys, it's up to you guys. Get your asses on there. You don't have to buy a full season member. Buy a three game pass. Buy a friggin' 6 game pass. Whatever it may be. Don't even buy a membership. Just pay your ticket every week. Not even that. Don't even buy. You don't. It's like, yes, buy a membership per se, but friggin' Christ, as long as you get to the games, you know what I mean? Like, just friggin', if you can't do that in work wise or whatever it is, as long as every opportunity that you're not having to work on a Friday or a Saturday night, get to the game, support the boys, get your ass on the seat, or stand in the friggin' squadron.
A little bit wet in the rain. Who cares?
Yeah, 100%.
Who cares?
But yeah, but as I said, we're going to wrap it up. Do you have faith that the club will make big moves on play signings, or are we stuck with local lads? Look, I hope that obviously moving forward it's going to be good signings. This season will tell. I'm not worried about what happened last season. I think Donachie was a massive mistake. I think he should have stayed at the club, and we should never have.
Brains again.
Bloody hell. We should never have got rid of him. Back to green. But at the end of the day, that I don't run the show and everything else. But yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, we are going to wrap it up. We'll be back next week, obviously, with another show and hopefully another guest. As I said, friggin' more guests we can get on, the better. In talks with obviously a few current players, etc. Hopefully we'll have Carl Dodd on, obviously once or in a couple of weeks, as you've heard of Shane. The boys will be back as of the 12th, so roughly around that sort of time when he's had a good break and obviously time to clear his own head, considering he was coming down to be an assistant under friggin' Deansy, and that's not now going to happen. So bit of time to chill out and relax, but obviously big ups to Carl Dodd, because I think a lot of the changes we've seen on the pitch were due to that man right there. Yeah. His international background and obviously his coaching style, you could definitely see that was a lot to do with him. I'm not saying all of it was to do with him, but
why we had a lot of youth in the last few games.
100%. He was really pushing.
He's used to working with it.
Yeah, he's used to. Yeah, he's used to in Guam and stuff like that. Granted, they're not crash hot and everything else, but at the end of the day, he wants the youth. You know, you want to play the youth now and maybe not be successful this year or next year, but obviously in 5 years' time when they sort of hit that 25 period, they're on. They've been there. They're experienced. They've been around the international scene, local scene, whatever it may be, and they hit the ground running. So yeah, big ups to Carl Dodd. Obviously, I think he done an absolute outstanding job the last couple of weeks before then, towards the end of the season there. But yeah, what do we got? Could Dodd be the head coach? Oh, look, I'd yeah. There's no reason why he couldn't be it if Pappas is going to be it.
Could he? Yes,
absolutely. His CV's
is he? Probably not.
His CV's probably better than friggin' Pappas's, to be fair. Realistically, when you think about it, but yeah. At the end of the day, if it is Pappas and it is Carl at the same time, the two boys under each other, well, you know, yeah, who knows? But I will be very, very shocked and very, very surprised and laugh a little if it does come out announced that Pappas is not the coach. I will laugh so hard. They'll be like, oh, you know, it's such and such, and then it's like not Pappas's name, and I'm like, You know that facts that we friggin' work on? not just speculations?
That's when we sit there and just go, huh?
Absolutely.
On the keys.
Exactly. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I've got a friggin' daughter that's going off her nut, and I'm going to go and foot her in the back.
I've got a hot dinner that's been sitting on the bench for half an hour.
Oh, bloody ridiculous. Anyway, guys, we do thank everyone for jumping on. And obviously, thanks for all the questions and so forth. If you've missed the start of it, etc., as we said, be sure you'll be able to watch it back on, obviously, all those platforms that we did mention. And other than that, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Any questions you have, any throughout the week or anything like that, whack them in the chat, whack them in the Facebook page and stuff like that. Yeah, we're happy to answer your questions and obviously, receive questions for obviously that we might be able to talk about next week. We might touch a little bit more on the Euros again next week, heading into wrap up into the semi-finals and out of the group stage.
And I'm just going to say Wales, fucking dark horses!
That ain't over yet.
Fucking dark horses!
Look at you go. But yeah, so next week, obviously, all those games should be done and dusted, so the group should be sorted. So we'll definitely be dropping a fair few blokes out of the pool that we've currently got running. Obviously, congratulations to the guys that are still technically in it, and the ones that are obviously out. North Macedonia. Unlucky Robbie.
Who got Turkey? Was it Chris?
I can't remember who got Turkey.
I think Turkey have been shoved at the worst.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that...
I think Turkey are technically ranked the worst side of the Euros right now because North Macedonia have scored more goals and conceded less.
There you go. Obviously, just a side note on that, obviously we were going to do a gift voucher, etc. But big thanks to Gabriel Mark, optometrist at Jesmond. We are going to give away a pair of Mako Sunnies, which I don't have on me right now, but I've got them here.
But are worth more than $100 gift card.
Yeah, about a $300 pair of Sunnies instead of a $100 gift voucher, so very much welcome. And obviously, second prize will receive a shirt courtesy of Save the Humans. Big thanks to those guys for our intro music. And yeah, be sure to go see those guys, obviously, at their next gig, which I did put up on the Facebook page. I believe it is at the end of next month. So, yeah. Other than that, guys, take it easy. Thank you very much for joining us this week. We will see you guys next week. And as always...
We hate Coast Scum.
We hate Coast Scum. Hope everyone heard it that time, just in case you've missed it.
We hate Coast Scum.
We hate Coast Scum, absolutely. Take it easy, guys. We will speak to you guys real soon. Peace out.